Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm the one that got away.
And I'm Gary. And today we're taking a look at Predator 2, released in 1990 by director Stephen Hopkins, who was also responsible for such films as The Reaping and Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. He was also producer on such hits as Lost in Space.
Oh, nice.
The film also stars Danny Glover, who would recognise from the Lethal Weapon films.
I'm too old for this shit.
Saw, The Colour Purple. Also has Gary Busey, who you'd also recognise from Point Break and the Lethal Weapon films.
Yep.
And of course we also have Bill Paxton, who you recognise from Terminator, Aliens. And also we have Adam Baldwin, who you'd also know from Full Metal Jacket, Independence Day and Serenity. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Predator 2?
Well, the story starts in Los Angeles in the future, 1997. The Predator has come to hunt down Jamaicans and Colombian gangs that are turning the city of Los Angeles into a war zone. We follow Mike Harrigan, played by Danny Glover, who is a police officer trying to stop the gangs. But he gains the attention of the Predator, and the Predator decides to hunt him.
Wait a minute. Where the hell's Arnie? Where's Dutch? Where's the survivors from the first film?
Well, at the end of the first film, obviously Dutch was taken back and debriefed by the army, and there are multiple different threads here of where he disappeared. He supposedly went to a hospital and then disappeared and might have ended up on that Hunter's Planet in Predators. Or he might have actually joined a secret CIA underground alien kind of defense ring to hunt predators all over the rest of the world. We're not entirely sure. I think he just got bored.
Well, truth is, the actor Arnold Schwarzenegger refused to partake in anything to do with Predator 2. For multiple reasons, it would appear.
Yeah.
It was either the fact that he wasn't going to be paid enough because they wanted to keep the budget at the same level as the first film with Predator 2. It was also the fact that James Cameron was gearing up for production on Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and I can only imagine how that film would have worked without Arnie. And some people also say it was because he was working on Total Recall at the time. Other people also say it was because he didn't like the director and that he hated the idea of a Predator movie in the city. So, therefore, no Arnold Schwarzenegger for Predator 2.
I'm kind of glad of that, actually. I big fan of the first movie, loved the whole original idea and the elite forces getting their asses handed to them by this alien. And obviously then Dark Horse Comics picked up the rights to write a story involving the Predator and Dutch's twin brother.
Oh yeah,
Schaefer.
brother.
Yeah. Schaefer is a LA police detective who's going around hunting down Jamaicans and Colombians, turning the city into a war zone. And Schaefer gets tagged by the Predator because the Predator recognizes him as the twin brother of Dutch who killed the Predator in the first one and decides to hunt him all the way through the story. But the film, I don't think Predator 2 would have been as enjoyable if we'd had another Arnie in it, because you would have just looked at Arnie after all of his success with Predator and Terminator and Total Recall and The Running Man and all those other films. You would have just sat there going, he's going to kill it.
Yeah, so I can understand that flipping, the physique down to Danny Glover, who we've seen him where he's usually too old for this kind of shit.
We're not too old for this shit.
But he's actually appears in his prime. But he is more relatable as a human. He's not Mr. Olympus.
No. He's got all these human traits, I find. He's scared of heights.
I can relate.
He's got a really close relationship with his team, which, unlike Arnie in the first one, Arnie kind of cared that his team were dead, but only towards the end of the movie. Danny, hates the fact that his team are being picked off one by one throughout the film, and his emotions start to build up more and more that he just wants to kick the shit out of this thing.
Whoever killed him is gonna pay. I'm gonna finish it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of the dialogue in this film is all just moving the plot forward. I say that they're more relatable as characters because they're in a more relatable environment.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they're not lost in a jungle somewhere. But it just seems like a lot of vulgar dialogue just to figure out what's going on.
Listen, shit in. I don't give a fuck who you really are, what you want with this asshole. Because now it's personal, and he's a dead man.
The concept of what you're dealing with is way over your head. I'm warning you.
You don't know what you're dealing with, and I'm warning you. Stay the fuck out my way.
It just moves into the next action piece of drug lords fighting and killing each other in various ways, and Predator turning up and promptly taking care of things.
I do love that. I love the fact that the film opens with that shot of the jungle, or the forest surrounding Los Angeles, and then the camera pans up and the city's there, and then you just have that explosion of thermal vision. You know, we had already gone through Predator 1 and the suspense had been built up, wondering what the hell was hunting Arnie. Then it was revealed to us and we're like, oh my god. Predator 2 starts off and it's just like, you already know what's here, so fuck it.
It's a pretty explosive start with you know, there's armed police officers and armed drug lords, and they're just fighting and shooting out in the streets. There's like camera reporters. I thought that it was like Detroit.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see RoboCop come around the corner.
That would have been great, RoboCop.
and it is pretty violent. And we also get to see quite how reckless Danny Glover's character is.
Yeah.
When he gets in the car, tears off, knocks the door out, but he's like leaning out of the car.
Well, he's got to see they're shooting at the windscreen, and it's like he says, they need to send a soft vehicle in to protect the two officers that have been caught up in the shootout. So that's why his partner Danny puts the bulletproof vests on the window so that he can drive down and then obviously turn the car and pull everybody up.
Never mind, we saw the guy just prior to that with the grenade launcher blowing up cars. Yeah, but they were running low on ammo. They needed to get into the building. It's the 90s. Well, the film was released in the 90s, but it's 1997. You know, violence is strewn all over the street. There's gunfights. I gotta bring up quickly before we get too far into this. Tony Pope, hardcore reporter. I just love hardcore news. It's like, really?
I love that guy. I can't remember the guy who plays Tony Pope, but he was like a radio disc jockey, and he was, you know, he had some really coarse language and, you know, had a reputation for just saying really nasty stuff. But his character kind of makes me feel like I'm at home watching news reports of the streets of LA being turned into this massive gangland shootout. Absolutely brilliant.
Pope, are you there, Pope? Pope, what's going on?
So, of course, the violence does continue into the building when the police force are waiting to go inside. And by the time they do get inside, the Predator has floored everyone and strung a couple of them up as trophies.
Yeah.
Later on in the film, there is another group of being taken out by the Predator, and they're performing a voodoo ritual.
You have the Colombians on one side, who are the guys that get wiped out at the beginning, and then you have the voodoo street posse of the Jamaicans. And I fucking love this sequence. It's one of my favourite sequences where they do hang up this Colombian guy, and he's actually, I think he's one of the head bosses, or at least one of the high lieutenants. So the Jamaicans are actually making a big statement by cutting his heart out, but they're only following the message of King Willie, who is the head of the Jamaican voodoo street posse. And it's like that guy says, you know,
Voodoo magic.
Fucking voodoo magic, man.
fucking voodoo magic, man. You know, so they don't actually believe it. It's just terror tactics.
I tell you what I believe.
Shit happens.
And then the Predator makes his grand entrance by just fucking everybody up. And it's just amazing because it brings in all this weaponry that we never saw in the first movie, but we will get to know after Predator 2 comes out, with all the games that would come out, you know, AVP 1 and 2 on the PC, AVP on the 360, even the arcade game of Alien vs Predator. You know, you've got the spear, you've got the spear gun, you've got the combi stick, you've got the smart disc, you've got the plasma caster making its presence felt again.
You've also got the net.
Oh, the net. That guy I feel bad for when he gets hit.
Well, we already remember, from the Alien vs Predator movie, we know what that net can do.
Yeah.
What I want to say about Predator 2 is that because the first Predator, we didn't really get that much character from him. We could only get that he was picking them off one by one, that he was collecting trophies, and that he was basically just an alien from another planet who was just hunting for sport.
Yeah.
So with Predator 2, you need to flesh out perhaps what this creature is more so. And that, for me, is the focal point of Predator 2.
Yeah.
Was trying to figure out what it is he's doing, whether he's a younger Predator, which I'm going to guess that he is. I'm going to guess that he's slightly more inexperienced than perhaps Predator from the first film, which is why he's armed so much more, and why this Predator's also pretty reckless. He will jump into the middle of a room of armed guys and fight them all to the death in a single go. He won't pick them off one by one.
Well, some big Predator fans do say that the Predator in the first one was kind of coming to the end of his life, and you know, he decided that he just wanted to hunt what he considered was the greatest species to hunt, which was man, and obviously drops into the middle of the jungle and starts taking out as many as he can. The Predator in Predator 2, he is either really young and armed to the teeth to try and prove himself, or, as it is revealed later on, as a spoiler, he has an alien skull, a xenomorph skull in his trophy. So he's already made his presence felt in the clan. So he's armed because he's got such a high rank that he can just jump into the middle of a room and beat the shit out of many
I'm
guys.
going to say that the Predator in this film, that is not his trophy on the wall. It's not his trophy.
How do you know that?
Because the ship is filled with Predators. Now, I'm going to say that most of those trophies on that wall belong to all of the other Predators that are on that ship.
Nah.
Not this freshling.
No, why would you dishonor somebody else's trophies by sticking your trophy in the middle? That is his collection. He takes the time to buffer up. Understand the Predator law. You cannot go out and do big hunts in the tribe and have a standing in the tribe unless you are taking out what we would consider the greatest species, the greatest dangerous species in the galaxy, the xenomorph. So he has at one point hunted each one of those animals or creatures and has put the trophy up, and then has come to Earth to get the one skull that he hasn't collected yet, which is a human skull. He just so happens to drop in the middle of Los Angeles when there's a fucking massive gang warfare going on.
I still tend to believe that is the clan that are on that ship. I think that is their collective trophy case.
Yeah, you can believe that.
And I'm also wondering what the rest of the Predators are doing on that ship whilst this Predator is out hunting man.
That's it. It's his hunt.
Yeah, it's his hunt.
So they are waiting for...
I'm also guessing that those other Predators are also out hunting in other locations, except they're keeping a much lower profile than this rookie Predator.
Well, going from the story of Concrete Jungle, you know, the Predator was hunting Schaefer. And so in the book, this one Predator, even though that there's a shitload of Predators on the ship, it's his standing to go and kill Schaefer. Obviously, they couldn't do that in the film because obviously Danny Glover doesn't look anything like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So they they sent this one predator off, and this is where obviously the confusion comes from. Is he a younger predator going out to get his first skull, or is he a higher rank predator saying to them, look, I'm going to show you what it's like to hunt man? You know, he goes out there and he does. He skins a bunch of guys, the Jamaicans, and hangs them up. He takes the skull of King Willie, and it's just the fact that he's observing Harrigan, that he's realizing that Harrigan is a badass. I mean, right at the beginning, Harrigan jumps behind like 7 guys and nails them all with shotguns. That's got to put him up in the Predator's focus. Like, hold on a minute. The Predator then obviously goes out and takes out Harrigan's crew, just like he did, the Predator in the first one did for Arnold's
I do
team.
find it hard to believe that this Predator could keep tabs on him the entire film.
He's a predator! What did you expect? I mean, his job is to hunt. It's not like he's going to go, I'm going to check Facebook on my wristcom. I wonder if he's on Twitter. No, he's following him all the way through the film.
Yeah, but he's also dogging him. Once he's killed his partner,
Yeah.
he leaves the
The
necklace on the tree and says, "You want some candy?"
Yeah,
and
but-
buggers off again. I'm like, well, he's just teasing him.
He is. He's dogging him. But this is it.
But this is the character of the Predator being fleshed out a little
yeah.
bit more, and I do like that.
Well, yeah. Before we talking about the Predator, Kevin Peter Hall returns to play the Predator in Predator 2.
That'd be the last time that he would play
It
Predator.
would be
yeah.
the last time. And Kevin Peter Hall, I find it really hard to watch any other Predators
because they're all so short.
they are. They just look like guys in suits. And I know that Kevin Peter Hall was just a guy in a suit, but he just brought something.
Yeah, he actually went and learned tribal dance.
Yeah.
Just to actually get some extra sort of movement to the Predator. And it totally comes through just the way that it moves around.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, Stan Winston returned to do this suit for Predator 2, and he explains it that, as you have snakes, you have many different types of snakes, and this is exactly the brilliant thing I find with Predator 2. I mean, people slate the film as much as they want, but the fact that it's a predator, but a different type of the species. This would obviously be further expanded in Robert Rodriguez's Predators film, which I'm really not going to get into right now. But the fact that, Kevin Peter Hall's Predator just looks taller, more bulkier, darker skinned. He's got this different type of mask and the different type of weapons. So it just kind of just explodes the whole Predator franchise for us.
Still one ugly motherfucker.
You are one ugly motherfucker.
I want to bring up something else related to the Predator. What does it eat?
Just strips of beef.
Seems he has a taste for beef.
I didn't think he was vegetarian.
That's what it
Apparently
says.
strips of beef. Now, there is a scene, I can't remember from the first one, but in the second film, when he's taking a trophy,
Yeah.
there's he's cleaning the skull,
Yeah.
or he's sucking all of the juice off the skull.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like a straw, and we can see it all going up through this tube.
Yeah.
I figured it was going to cut to the Predator with a straw in his mouth, just drinking the juices, because we never see him eat. And that was the closest I got to figuring out maybe he's drinking the brain juices.
Well, I mean, they kind of, they I suppose they do eat flesh of some sort. Some kind of.
It's the whole hunting philosophy is that you
Yeah.
eat what you kill.
But
I find it hard to believe that the Predator would be eating this frozen meat.
But well, I mean, it's not really frozen. He kind of adds drugs to it as well to keep his dietary needs down. The way I look at it is that the Predator does eat some kind of meat process, added with all these extra things that it either needs, or it's procured from different planets that it knows will give it the heightened combat prowess that it needs to kick the shit out of Danny Glover.
I want to talk about Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton's one of my favourite actors in film.
Yeah.
After Aliens,
Yeah.
I watch him in anything. After Near Dark,
I like him in Twister.
He's just an electric character, and when he's playing goofy, cocky, arrogant
Yeah.
sort of douchebags, He's great. Yeah. And I love the scene where he's just his first introduction to his precinct, and he starts flirting with the other female officer, and she just twists his nuts.
You try that cowboy shit with me, fucking, you can kiss this. Goodbye.
I'm just like, he's never going to get a break.
I love the little bit later on where he's trying to tell her that joke. And he's just dogging her for ages. And she's just like, just tell me. And he tells her. And she's like, really? Everything is his speciality. I love that as well. Surveillance is his speciality. Luck is his speciality. Shooting is his... No, shooting's not so good.
Well, it comes to that subway sequence. And it does make me laugh that they're in the subway and there's a couple of people pull guns out.
Couple? It's like the whole train.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't think it. That's the thing, is that all of the civilians on the train are also armed with sidearms. And then when the Predator turns up, I'm just like, yeah, you're all fucked.
You're all fucked now.
Because you are all armed. And the Predator, of course, if you're armed, you're fair game.
Yeah.
However, Bill Paxton, he has a standoff with the Predator, and I'm pretty sure he unloads like 3 whole clips into that Predator.
Hey! Over here! Yeah, that's right. Come and get it.
But then at the same time, you don't see how fast the Predator can move. I mean, obviously, with budgetary restraints and obviously the camera angles and stuff, the Predator is obviously confined, but my imagination is the Predator is pretty damn fast. So if you're aiming at its head, he's going to duck quickly. You know, he's going to dodge out the way. Plus, he's covered in his optical camouflage. So, you know, Bill Paxton is going to find it really hard to shoot at something that's invisible in a really dark
I'm going to say that room. I think Bill Paxton let off at least 30 bullets at the Predator.
Yeah,
he would have definitely hit the Predator at some point, yet the Predator shows no signs of being hit whatsoever. So I'm gonna say that, I'm going to guess most of the shots missed.
The Predator in Predator 1 was only wounded by a minigun.
That's what I was going to say, was that I reckon that the small arms fire, the gun that he had, was just ricocheting off the armor. Some people have said that because he was cloaked, that actually gives him some armor defense. I think it was the 9mm rounds were just not strong enough
to punch his skin.
And the fact that he wasn't getting accurate shots because he was cloaked and because of the strobe lighting that was going on. But he is a trained officer, and he would have aimed directly down the middle of that carriage, and he should have hit something.
But then obviously the Predator would have ended up getting wounded, and he wouldn't have been able to kill Bill Paxton as coolly as he does.
Come on, get it, baby! Come on, bastard! Come on, you two!
I gotta bring up Gary Busey. I love the government agents in this film. Just the fact that it expands the fact that the government kind of know
or aware of what happened,
are aware of what's going on, and they're investigating it. And okay, Harrigan kind of does get in the way of their kind of investigation, but as it comes later on in the slaughterhouse scene, you know, the agents are ill-equipped to fight this Predator. They believe that the Predators only see in one stream of vision, thermal. But, you know, the Predator is moving around the slaughterhouse there, and the agents are moving really quietly. He hears a creak, he stops and he goes, what the fuck is that? You know? And he changes his vision mode. And the first time I saw this, I was like, fuck. Okay. Why does he need all those vision modes? What the fuck has he been hunting so that he can see them with these vision modes? And yeah, there are some, you know, discrepancies on the internet of, he should have been able to see the lights and this kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, argue as much as you want. But it's the fact that when he changes his vision mode and he sees the light, there's a kind of shocked kind of whoa from the Predator. Like, what the fuck?
I'm being hunted? I don't think so. Again, it's a scene that reminds me of Aliens, when the Marines have gone into the reactor control room and you've got Ripley, Burke and Gorman on the comms, and you've got all the terminals in front of you. You can see all the life signs of all of the characters that are in the slaughterhouse. And then when the Predator's moving, you can just see them panicking and they're just like, do something!
I just love that because obviously Gary Busey ends up getting kind of, he loses the pressure to his freeze gun.
That's right.
And then the Predator shoots him with the plasma caster, but because the Predator is distracted by Danny Glover coming in, he doesn't get a full-on accurate shot. And then Gary Busey turns up later on and he's trying to be all badass with his freeze gun.
Guess who's back? Too late to go home now.
And the Predator whips out the smart disc. The first time you'd ever see a smart disc in a Predator movie, and he just throws it.
And you watch all of the meat chunks just falling down before it gets to him.
Yeah. That's it. Trophy taken.
You know, they actually had a lot of problems on the set of this film.
Really?
Yes. They were filming it in certain parts of LA, and there was a couple of alleyways that they had to film in.
Yeah.
And they had problems with the fact that they were making noise as a set. And so the people that were living nearby were flinging feces at them. The alleyways that they were filming in were also infested with rats and shit.
Yeah.
And also, whilst they were filming there, they actually found a real dead body.
Missing its head?
Missing all of its skin for some reason. So, I mean, it was a pretty troubled shoot.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I see. This is it. I mean, the film doesn't stand up as much to the first movie. Much like these sequels don't stand up too well to their original parts. But what gives the sequel so much more of a core is the fact that it expands more on these characters. I just love the fact that without these films, Terminator 2, Aliens, and Predator 2, we wouldn't have these iconic, brilliant action characters that we kind of take for granted now. Predators, Aliens, Terminators, they're all freaking amazing.
They are cinematic icons for the action sci-fi genre, without a doubt. But Predator 2 has always received so much flack. There's always seems to be a negative aura around it. And I'm sympathetic to those voices, because if you're just, if you just want to hate on this film just because it is a sequel, and if you're in the mindset that therefore all sequels are bad...
No, sequels rule.
Not always. But I will say that Predator 2 is a weaker film than the first one. It's weaker in its cast, it's weaker in its plot development, it's weaker in its setting, but what does make it better is all of the things that you learn about the Predator.
Definitely.
It does expand the universe so much more so, but that was also in part because of the first film's success with the graphic novels that went out there.
But going from this, I mean, I'm a big fan of sequels. And as the years go on, I really enjoy Predator 2. Like I said, Robert Rodriguez's Predators, we will do at some point. I'm not that much of a fan. I enjoy the Predators.
I enjoy Predators more than Predator 2.
But Predator 2, Danny Glover is just a more human character. I love his team. I love the fact that once they start getting taken out, he becomes more emotional. I love the fact that he kind of proves that you don't have to be a badass elite soldier to take a Predator on. You can kind of fight them at their own game and just be completely persistent. I mean, he proves that with the fact that he chases the Predator up onto the roof. And the Predator, he's kind of wanting to go home at this point, because he's just like, I'm getting my fucking ass handed to me by this guy. I need to deal myself. And Danny Glover just fucking knocks him off the roof. And they're both hanging there on the roof, and he says to the Predator, your move, pussy face.
I find that really offensive. I mean,
he does have a pussy face. If you look at the inside of his mouth, it's weirdly designed like that. No, I didn't design it. Stan Winston, he's got a thing. If Stan Winston and H.R. Geiger got together, I wonder what they would make.
An alien queen.
But the fact that the Predator is hanging there by his disc and Danny Glover's arm.
For me, it's the worst scene in the film.
Why?
Because we've already seen the... I mean, it doesn't look like Spider-Man when he scales a building, but we've already seen Predator scaling buildings.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like he's just hanging on by air. Yet when he's dangling there,
Yeah.
he's got one arm on Danny Glover,
Yeah.
and he's got the other hand on the disc.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping him from pulling out that disc and hitting Danny Glover.
Apart from the fact he's been shot 7 times by a shotgun at point blank range already in the
He
slaughterhouse.
should try to get away from him at this point. Or, whilst he's there, while he's got hold of Danny Glover, pull him off the roof and carry on dangling there. There were so many ways he could have got out of it.
But
it was such a prolonged amount of time that he gave Danny Glover all the time he needed to cut the Predator's arm off.
But like I said...
He decided he had more time to program in, I'm going to deactivate and explode now.
Yes.
So he'd already given up. What was stopping him from just cutting off Danny Glover's arm and falling to his death? It infuriated me.
Okay. The fact that he's already been shot 7 times by a shotgun and attacked by a bunch of agents with freeze guns, he's probably in shock that this guy is chasing him up all the way up on the roof and knocked him off the building. Plus the fact he's hanging there by the disc and Danny's Glover arm, so he doesn't know what will happen if he falls. If the Predator falls and hits the floor and dies, that means not only has he revealed his presence to the humans and completely broken every Predator code there is out there, even though he has already lost his mask,
the amount of weapons he's left lying around anyway.
And, okay, yes, it's not as good as the sequence at the end of Predator, but the fact that, like I said, it shows that Danny Glover is a bit of a badass, that he's willing on putting his own life at risk. He doesn't know what this thing does on his arm. He's already been told that it might explode.
Now, there's a problem I also have, is that in this film they explained that
when trapped, the creature activated a self-destruct device that destroyed enough rainforest to cover 300 city blocks.
Something like 30 or 300 block.
Which means to say that Arnie managed to run that distance in less than 45 seconds.
No, see, that's another thing. The explosion goes off at the end of Predator 1, and I don't believe that the bomb can actually wipe everything out unless you're stood out in the middle of the blast.
Radius.
Yeah, if you're stood out in the blast, you will get killed. If you're undercover, you'll be fine because of the way that it's designed. It's not really like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a miniature nuclear bomb. But yeah, I do love the fact that this scene builds up to the fact that he cuts the Predator's arm off and the Predator falls all the way down that building and then takes the time to heal itself.
I just love the way that then the Predator goes and starts smashing everything on the walls and starts building up his own sort of concoction. He pours in sort of that blue sort of
liquid acid shit,
melts it all down and then uses it to cauterize his stump and then his bullet wounds. It was just another sort of insight into the tools of the Predator trade.
Yeah. My favourite scenes are literally just any of them with the Predator. I mean, him turning up at the beginning and kicking the shit out of all those guys is brilliant. Kicking the crap out of all the Jamaicans with all of his new weaponry was just awesome. The subway fight just proves that even if you're an old granny and you're armed, you're fair game. The slaughterhouse sequence, it's just the agents going in there thinking that they've all prepared and then the Predator laying waste to them. And then following on with the fight sequence with Danny Glover in the slaughterhouse is epic. And the final fight as well, just Danny Glover and the Predator going one-on-one. It's just awesome. But if I had to really pick one scene, it's got to be that little kid in the cemetery. Just the fact that he's got the gun there and the Predator locks on and then looks at it and realizes that it's not a real weapon, and then he delivers that immortal line.
Want some candy?
So there's a little inconsistency here between the two films, is that in the first Predator film, when you hear the Predator audio.
Yeah.
It's quite high pitched, the playback, whereas in this film it's sort of quite low.
Yeah.
Instead,
Different masks.
different masks, different predators. It just it shows that they are different.
Yeah.
I also have quite a few favourite scenes in the film. Any scene involving the Predator where we learn more about this Predator's culture or what it's doing, or the fact that it's sort of teasing and hunting certain characters. It's very well portrayed. But my favourite confrontation is with the Jamaican Lord, King Willie, in the alleyway sequence with the Predator.
Yeah.
He's aware that the Predator's coming. The special effect with the waters being flicked and when we can see the silhouette of the Predator moving towards it. It's just a fantastic confrontation, especially when he then pulls out his sword.
Yeah.
And the fight's over before it even begins.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame. I would have liked to have seen a small sort of standoff, but this isn't King Willie's film.
No.
Now, I do have a small problem with the special effect here, which is cool. It's just that when the camera pans down, we see the Predator's reflection in the water, yet in the next shot, the Predator's still cloaked. Now, we know that the water can decloak a Predator. So
Yeah.
what actually happened there?
Well, I mean, he's only in like a tiny little bit of water. You see it kind of flicking up onto the camouflage, and it does make it crackle, but it's not enough to actually make it dematerialize. And I suppose, I mean, it's more cinematic viewing, isn't it? The fact that you can see the Predator in the water and then you lift up and he's still invisible. And to King Willie, I mean, King Willie does say he's from the other side. You know, he thinks he's a ghost. So, you know, he looking down into the water and he's like, oh, I can see him, but he's not really there. So he must be some kind of weird spirit thing. So
Yeah, I can buy that.
I definitely recommend Predator 2. It's a worthy, for me, it's a worthy sequel. Over the years, I've actually grown to appreciate it more and more with the fact that a lot of the things that were in this film have gone on to the games and the mythology and the books and things like that. So it has expanded the Predator universe a little bit more for us. You know, it's made the character, the Predators, just more believable. Even though that the acting may not be on par, shall we say, you know, and some of the fight sequences aren't brilliant, the Predator is the core, and that's why we came to see this film.
Which is why I only recommend this film to fans of the Predator universe.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into coming into Predator 2, unless you stayed away from it because of all of the bad critical reception that this film got.
Yeah.
It was hated by critics. It was hated by fans. It's kind of easy to see why. It doesn't have the memorable characters of the first film.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the memorable setting of the first film. And when you break it down, it is just a space alien slasher movie in LA.
Yeah.
Which there are hundreds of those films already out there. But this film does, I will say, it is massively underrated.
Definitely.
I understand all of the criticisms about the film. I like to nitpick it myself, but it's still an enjoyable experience. You can switch your brain off and know you're going to be watching a Predator film and you're going to get what you expect. The makeup effects, the music, the editing, the action scenes are all very, very good.
Shit happens. You straight asshole. Shit happens.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Want some candy?